2K is having trouble with loot boxes and they want to bring them back.
And they want your help.
Hot take. Before we begin this episode, I just want to warn you that Adam and I are probably going to get a little angry on this front because it's a really stupid thing that's happening. But let's just get the whole story out of the way so you can understand and get you up to speed. Now, 2K Games is a game development company that's produced a number of games, but a lot of sports games specifically.
Yes.
NBA 2K19 is the one we're going to be talking about today.
That's the one.
And something happened in Belgium. Adam, what happened?
Okay, so the Belgian Gaming Commission a while ago, this was after Overwatch had some real money to like digital currency, like loot box stuff. This happened after Battlefront, and it happened after a couple of other games as well, like CSGO.
Yes.
There's some issues with loot boxes, and it sort of came to a head, and the Belgian Gaming Commission basically said, hey, if you're spending real-world money on something that it's kind of randomized what you'll get, and it will benefit you in-game, like that is considered gambling.
Yes, it's a slot machine.
So basically, yes. So basically, NBA 2K19 has one of these sort of loot box systems in it, and of course, the Belgian Gaming Commission has basically made it so that they can't have that in their game without some sort of legal repercussions. So now 2K has kind of reached out to you guys and us to talk to the Belgian Gaming Commission, not them specifically, to talk to your government, your head, your...
So this is the idea, okay?
It's kind of sloppy. There's a lot of info there.
Blizzard and Valve,
yeah.
they saw what was going on,
yes.
and they had to change their games accordingly.
They did.
Yes.
They did change their games.
So NBA, or 2K, has basically said, okay, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
However, they're not happy about it because loot boxes for them are a cash cow because they're gambling, okay? That's what they are. Of course, it was going to be a thing that earned a lot of money, but regardless, they're angry because they're not making as much money, so they've had to alter the game in Belgium. So what they want you to do,
yes.
anyone that lives in Belgium, is to contact the Belgian government, this is not a joke.
That's true.
And tell them, hey, we really like the loot boxes in our games. We want to spend a lot of money. We don't think it's gambling at all. Can you please allow them to screw us over?
What a great idea to open the door and allow several other companies to do the exact same freaking thing. And then you wind up going back to square one with this bullcrap.
I can't believe that 2K is this dumb. Like, look, I know that there's some people from the industry that watch, and normally we don't have this kind of like rhetoric with people that are like legitimately in the industry and not stealing from folks. But 2K, what's wrong with you? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of a company do. Look, if Valve and Blizzard are backing away thinking that they're going to be in danger there, what you're going to do by basically inciting consumers to talk to the government is the government is going to be in the situation where they're going to be like, okay, well, now we have to put more research into it, more time into it, and once you have an actual government organization doing all that kind of research, then other governments in other organizations across the world are going to see what they're doing and go, oh, Belgium's on fire. They actually got something here. We should probably pay attention to them. And you're going to ban loot boxes everywhere else. You idiots don't understand what you just did.
No, that's great. That's great.
It's great. No, I love this. I love this.
Because okay, so there were studies done in Belgium,
yes.
and they said, hey, we consider this gambling. This is a no-go.
It is gambling. It's not even a consideration. It's gambling.
But in the UK and in the US, some parts of the UK, I should say, and in the US, they did the exact same thing. They researched it, and they basically came to the conclusion that it was fine.
Yeah.
So no, I hope this happens. I hope.
No. I'm happy for this whole thing to happen.
You just think 2K's being moronic.
I think 2K is so stupid in the idea that they're trying to get consumers to screw themselves over. Like, why would you ever think in a million years that this was ever going to happen? Like, there is no logical solution in my head where this plays out in your favor. Did you honestly think anyone from any government organization is going to go, well, you know what? We should back 2K. Where's 2K located?
That's a good question.
Better be in Belgium. Better be, because if they're located anywhere else, it makes no sense whatsoever for a governmental organization to be in the favor of a company that doesn't exist within the walls of that country. Think about that, you idiots. And you know what? It is great. Adam's completely right here. it's just going to basically benefit all of us, because the moment that all these companies start having a lot of back problems from supporting loot boxes, like what we saw with Star Wars Battlefront, then it's only going to benefit us. Loot boxes are dumb. And the fact that any company, and this is why I'm upset with 2K, the fact that they're spending money to make this happen, the fact that they're putting that effort into this, means that they're so stupid and so unprepared for the future of the video game industry that they're willing to do this kind of stuff to basically just hope and pray that it works.
Right. It's their like poor attempt at just like continuing to like harvest whales, in my opinion. They'll do anything that they can to get every little cent out of a person that they possibly can.
And you know what? Let's just make this clear too. When Adam and I we've spoken about whales in the past. You might not know what this is.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people out there, okay, regular folks like you and I, sit there and play a video game and we don't get loot boxes. We don't even touch them. And the reason we don't do that is because it's really dangerous for us. It's a lot of money to spend, and it is essentially gambling. But there's folks out there that are called whales. This happens with every free-to-play game, and it does happen with games where it's required to get stuff like that. Whales don't have a way to stop themselves from doing that. It's basically an addiction. Even though they call them whales, it's kind of like a fun little name. That's basically somebody with a mental illness that is buying way too much stuff, and they're basically spending their entire income to get that. All they have to do is get one whale out of like 100.
Yes, and then they wind up getting thousands of dollars for a title, where other people might not spend any money whatsoever on like a free-to-play game.
Exactly. It's a sick practice. Yeah. I don't mean sick in like the new way. I mean like it's a sickening, gross practice. It's
people taking advantage of people with, let's say, a gambling addiction.
Yes.
Right? Which is a huge issue.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally is. And the fact that the Belgian government is stepping forward to protect consumers and to save people is important. But what makes this even worse is that these games are targeted at a lot of kids. And kids don't understand how to basically separate themselves from that. Now, look, there are examples out there of free-to-play games like Fortnite and stuff. But those are free-to-play games. And what they're offering you in there are like non-items that don't actually do anything.
Right, yeah. It's cosmetic things like skins for your guns or like costumes and stuff. It's things that don't necessarily affect the gameplay, whereas some of these other games, they have like loot boxes that will completely change the game in a person's favor if they get a good weapon or they get a new skill or something like that.
I would love to live in the world where Fortnite was just like $60 or whatever it would be, and then everyone just played that. There wasn't DLC. Yeah. But the fact that they're offering it away for free is happening because originally the game was something else and it didn't work, and they turned it into what it is now.
Originally you did have to pay for that.
Yes, right? So they've had to turn the game into something else to make it work. It's a completely different thing. 2K19, NBA 2K19 is a game you go to the store and you buy. And when you buy it, you bring it back, you put it into your console, your whatever you're going to play, and then you have to pay more to get those additional items.
So Shane, I'm going to take the perspective of the developer, okay? And what would you say to them coming to you and saying, but Shane, it costs so much money to develop this game. We need a little extra dough to kind of keep the things running, to keep the online service running for this. What would you say to us?
Well, 2K, figure it out. Why? You made games for generations, for years. A whole bunch of game developers have been doing it for a very long time, and a lot of them found success. You know who found a lot of success making games? Nintendo. And they don't implement loot boxes. Why? Because they just make good games. See, what your problem is you're trying to make a brand new NBA game every single year. How about making an expansion pack? So you take the exact same engine you keep using every single year and just add new rosters and stuff like that. That way you've made one package and you add a whole bunch of different content over top of everything. But you can't do that. No, you won't do that because, well, we don't make enough money. But you know what? That's the problem. You're basically dumb, and you don't know how to actually make money from your games anymore.
Here's the thing. Right now, there's a huge boom. A lot of people are seeing games as a service doing extremely well. You mentioned Fortnite. It's enormous. It's beyond enormous, right? So developers are seeing that, and they're thinking like, okay, how can we make our game? How can we implement systems to make it a game as a service? Not every game needs to be a games as a service game. Just because one model of game works doesn't mean it's going to work for your game, especially when you're not replicating the exact same model. You have to pay for NBA 2K19
Absolutely.
for the base game itself. I'm so tired of every game having to have like a games as a service like feature. You can make a game and support it. It doesn't have to last for 10 years, especially a game that is literally going to have a numbered sequel the next year. Don't tell me you're going to be continuing 2K19 for 5 years or 6 years. With Fortnite, you could do that. There's going to be an NBA 2K20. It's so stupid.
It comes up the next time.
Yeah.
It is bizarre to me that this is even an idea and a concept that keeps implemented. And here's what this is going to be the way we end this video. Folks, look, if anyone out there, any game developer has used loot boxes in the past, congratulations. You scammed the gamers and you stole some money on your way out. But if they do stuff like this and they actually implement some stupid conversation in the government where they start going, oh, you know what? These people were scamming people, which is the only possible solution, the only possible way where this moves, okay? It doesn't go in the direction where the government goes, well, we don't want to make money from them. We think what they're doing is a great idea. That's not going to happen. Never is that going to happen. Do you know how every government basically taxes gambling? Why do you think they do that? Because it's gambling. It's illegal. It's something that they legalize to make money from. And if you do something like this, you're going to be heavily taxed to the point where you're not going to make a profit from it. But you did make money. You made money in the past couple of years. You got out quick. So leave. Drop your stuff. Don't keep doing it. Otherwise, the governments are going to go, they were actually gambling this entire time. Let's go back and charge them for all those actions.
It's not just gambling as a whole, because when I think of gambling, you have to be a certain age to gamble. These games are being played by a multitude of ages.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what really scares me, man, is that kids can jump in on this, and not only is it egregious in the fact that they could be using their parents' credit cards, but it could start something. It could develop a problem,
Absolutely.
a gambling addiction at a very young age, because their minds are still developing.
Absolutely. And there's this idea too, and I remember somebody out there that was talking to me said, well, do you remember demos and shareware? Isn't that the same thing?
No.
You give somebody a game for free and they play? No. Do you know why? Because here's how this worked. When I was a kid, I played the shareware version of Doom. When I eventually bought Doom, okay, the full version, you only bought it once. You didn't keep buying it. No one would do that. This is literally a problem where people keep spending money again and again and again to get nothing. Nothing they can take and bring with them anywhere. They're not getting clothes. They're not getting any physical item. They're literally getting nothing, and it just keeps repeating nothing. They get a bunch of stupid trading cards digitally in a video game that have no function or purpose, and they can't be moved around from one thing to another. If that's not what digital gambling is, then frankly, I don't think I understand what gambling is. This is a really big problem, and 2K may have just done the dumbest thing by putting this forward into the public opinion and to the way that governments are going to look at it.
You mean the best thing?
The best thing for us. You know what? For us, okay? Let's be fair. This is going to work out for great. 2K, thank you so much.
Congratulations.
You stabbed yourself in the back, and this is only going to destroy you in the future. Learn how to make games again, because otherwise, I don't know what to tell you.
Let us know what you think in the comments below.